Let's see how I was banned from Taco Bell. Enjoy the fun of it all. Lord knows Godzilla Emperor will. Oof. Don't worry, I'm going to get the frickin' I'm going to get to what is it? Final Hour Saga at some point. Just have to get rid of all the other stuff.
Given the fact of the matter that my first video was actually doing quite well, I thought I'd, tell you guys another bit of my life story. Something in and of its own self that I guess I'm gonna probably make an entire series of, because let's be honest here, people, I've been banned in a lot of different places.
Evidently.
And not all of them are fast food. I've literally been banned in many different countries, dimensions, and even alternate universes, but that's another
I think that's an SCP, the Reluctant Dimension Hopper.
Videos for another couple days. But if anything, today I got a really interesting one for you guys that I think you all might enjoy. Now, here's the thing when it comes to it. I will admit that this one was rather traumatic for me, given the fact that I was around 16 at that time. I mean, think of it. I was relatively young, just finally got my freaking driver's license, and was a pretty big pussy at that period of time because I was afraid of driving because my family has a relatively bad history of driving. I mean, let's be honest. Even I have first-hand encounter of it. I literally had to sit there and freak the fuck out over the fact of the matter that I had family members who literally start driving off the road. I've had family members who literally start falling asleep while they're in the freaking road, nearly killing me in the process. And I gotta be completely straight here, people. Oh, and not only that, but my mom also wound up hitting a deer and splitting it in half. And yeah, especially when you're learning this kind of stuff when you're around 8 or 9, you're pretty traumatized about that kind of thing. So of course for me, having to sit there and drive at that period of time was not a very fun experience for me. It actually more or less freaked me out. Now, driving during the day wasn't exactly a big of an issue for me. I mean, I was still getting the hang of it. I still didn't care for it, but I was willing to do it. But when it came to nighttime, though, it was one of those kind of things that I literally did not want to fucking do. I refused to do it. I would much rather literally cut off my own fucking testicles rather than literally going out and driving in the freaking night. Unfortunately for me, though, everyone winds up having to sit there and face their fears, and for me personally, this entire fear wasn't exactly faced, or then again, maybe it was faced head-on in more ways than one, but let me sit there and say right here and right now, I'm still paying for a lot of therapy bills, and I'm having to take at least 10 to 15 kind of pills just to try and drown out the memory, but you know something? It's an interesting experience, but it is rather traumatic for me personally. So anyway, my little story begins around the time that I was 16 years old, as I already pretty much mentioned. Probably one of the first times around that I wound up getting rather traumatized and, well, pretty much getting fucked over in a lot of different kinds of ways. But this was honestly I think it was around, say, June or July or something. Family, including myself, was rather hungry as all hell, and if anything, nobody wanted to cook. I mean, we didn't want to sit there and deal with the dishes. We didn't want to sit there and deal with anything. If anything, we just wanted to eat, sit on the couch, on our asses and everything, watching a bunch of random sci-fi movies, and at the very end, going over to our bedrooms and falling asleep, probably fucking each other at night. Well, specifically when I say fucking, I mean like, parents fucking, and then, all the loud noises and things like that. The entire house shaking so much to the fucking point that you're afraid that the goddamn house is literally gonna fall down on the ground, killing everyone in the process.
I'll take images I did not need to see for 100, Alex.
Which is never a pleasant sight.
The sad thing is that's already happened to me today. Things I did not need to see that were described to me.
Having to sit there and hear all that kind of thing.
I will not share it with you guys, just for your own sakes.
That it got to the point that I could still hear them even after putting my entire earbuds on max volume. And that's saying a lot.
I assure you that if I was not requested to watch this series, I wouldn't be watching it.
Going deaf probably would have been better than having to sit there and hear the freaking two-way orgy going on in the next.
This is all very important to Taco Bell because burritos, I guess.
Giving a shit and cooking. And I think it was around this time as well that, I think there was like this huge argument or some shit that had gone on between me and my parents or something.
I'm going to do Arby's, of course, because I'm not going to get all the way to the end just to stop.
I mean, a lot. I don't really recall what exactly we were arguing about, but one thing's for sure that it
we were arguing about the sex.
End well, and the tension was very, very, very fucking high. Now, of course, after a while of yelling and screaming at one another and throwing a bunch of weird stuff at one another, including a couple of marshmallows for some odd reason. I don't know why marshmallows, but still.
Because
we all
shut
pretty
up.
much got really damn hungry after doing all that. Now, of course, my parents are rather creative with their punishments. Normally, they would have sat there and told me to go to my room or something, or beat my ass with a fucking belt, or better yet, string me up on my toenails and watch as they slowly, literally peel off my skin.
Ooh.
But at this point in time, they have apparently thought up of something a bit more clever.
Taking me to Taco Bell.
Genuinely scared the shit out of me, and that was driving at night. I mean, I'm 2 years old right now, and the idea of driving at night just scares the living shit out of me in more ways than one. And quite literally, it actually does. So of course, they suggested that I go to Taco Bell to get them some dinner. Now, here's the thing. It was around 8:30 at night. Normally you have dinner around maybe 5, 6, maybe 7 if you're really lucky.
My family has it
but
around 4.
around that time or so, we usually had dinner around 6. So having to sit there and have dinner
4 or
around 8 or
5.
9:30 or something like that was, kind of odd and out of the ordinary, but not something that isn't completely uncommon for us. But that's not what got to me. It was the obvious fact of the matter that I had to sit there and go all the way to Taco Bell and order their fucking food for them. I mean, we could have all just went as a family, as we probably should have.
Yeah.
But given the fact of the matter that I just pissed my parents off, I ultimately had to go. And
This reminds me
I
of
was
Bastard
shaking
Plot
like
Hole I
crazy,
found in
and
most of
yes,
the
I looked
in
at
the
the
last
sadistic
episode.
looking
Why
faces
the freak was
of
that
my
on the
family
menu?
staring at me with
Why did
wide
they?
open grins
Why
and
did
honestly
Waffle
makes
House
Jeff the
make
Killer
their
look
own
like nothing.
zombie?
And
Why
obviously
they
knowing
have
for
their
a
own
fact
zombie
that
things? You
going
know,
out
make
there at night
zombies.
scares the fucking shit
Don't
out of
serve
me.
it.
So of course I'm very hesitant to do.
That wasn't
such,
your
and I'm
fault. If
honestly at a
anything,
point
Waffle
wanting to
House
sit
is
there
the
and
one that
try
caused the
and
zombie
negotiate
apocalypse.
my way out of it. At least having somebody fall behind me just to make sure I didn't get killed or whatever. But of course, the decision was ultimately
At least the
final
fish
for me,
fillet
and
makes sense. McDonald's
obviously,
actually
I had
sells
to
fish
go.
fillets. Who the
Yeah.
fuck sells zombie
So
apocalypse
basically, what I
creating
wound up
stuff?
having to do is I had to pay for the entire
Unless it was
meal.
Halloween, in
Now,
which case it would be a
thankfully,
joke.
after I think my 16th birthday or so, I wound up getting about $1,000 from a nearby aunt of mine who I care deeply about, even though I can't seem to remember his or her name in any manner in any way. And
His
I wound up getting
name,
$1,000, so I took out
an
about maybe
aunt
$200
with
out of the whole thing. Put it in my
I'm
wallet,
not judging,
grabbed my phone,
but
and
I'm
literally
asking.
walked out the door. Of course, not before sitting there and turning around and flipping the both of them off because of the fact that I was probably going to die that night. Although, in
I love going
retrospect,
through the
I was
entire
very
video, making sure you
religious,
get rid of all
so
the
doing
ads,
that
and then you
probably would
watch
not have
it,
done
and then
quite
it's...
well on my karma aspect. And I think that entire
And
thing
then when
kinda
you
more or
watch
less
the video
made
for the
its way
reaction,
and
oh,
it
you
bit
missed
me in
an
the
ad.
ass later
How?
on in the story, but I'm gonna get to that later. So anyway, I'm literally going
If
in
you
there.
brought
I
those
go
little,
down to my car.
brought
It's
back
pitch
those
black
little
as
yellow
all fucking
things,
hell.
so I could
I'm
see where
praying
the
as I
ads
usually do,
are.
and I'm
That'd
literally
be
going,
better.
Ave Maria, gratia, plena Dominus, tecum benedicta tui mulieribus. And I'm just continuing
O
praying the
Christmas.
rosary and a few other prayers as well. I was a very devout Catholic at that point in time, so I knew
Evidently,
my stuff. I knew my
not
prayers.
judging.
And then anyway, I'm literally going in there, and I go and I turn on the car, and I do everything that I possibly can to make sure I don't ram into any ditches or anything, which was a miracle I was able to do that due to the fact that our street has literally no street lights. I mean, maybe one at the very end, but on our street, it's literally so pitch black.
Is the
that if you
dirt
try
road?
walking outside, it's literally gonna be like the freaking plagues of Egypt. The 3 days without darkness, that's literally every fucking night in our place. You sit there and you go out there, you will literally see nothing. You can't even see the back of your hand. Even if you put it all the way up to your freaking face, you can't see shit.
I think you should
So
move.
yeah, for me having to sit there and drive and everything like that, it was not a pleasant sight. And another little thing too that really freaked me out the most was the fact that most of our place here that we lived at was very heavily wooded, with a lot of woodland creatures going around. So the idea, however, of me hitting a buck or two was probably very high. I'd say about 50-50.
I don't give a
chance.
buck.
And of course, I didn't want to fuck up my car in any manner in any way. At the same time, though, I didn't want to have a pair of antlers going through my fucking windshield and stabbing me in the heart and literally having a pair of eyes look at me as I bleed out to death and literally crash somewhere and burn and then be cremated entirely without my own consent. Of course, though, I'm just continuously praying as I
How would
drive,
you-
and I drive rather slowly too.
How would you
I mean, that was
consent
the
if
thing
you're
with me.
dead?
I was kind of a pussy back then. I'm still a little bit more of a pussy when it comes to driving. I hate it. I've always hated driving. I never will like driving. I mean, even if I had to sit there and force my way to drive, that's the only time I'd ever really do it. But even then, though, I managed to get used to it a lot more as I grew up, but I was 16 years old. I just got my license. I just got everything readied up. I barely even passed my fucking driver's test. I mean, seriously, I remember actually taking the driving test with the person, and the actual lady herself was literally gripping on the street, nearly having a fucking panic attack because of the fact that I was driving crazily. And apparently I nearly ran over a man, nearly flattening him into a fucking pancake. Which, honestly, probably would have been nice. I could have put butter and syrup on him, but anyway, though.
I can't believe you almost got your license.
So, if anything, I wound up winning.
That sounds like how most people drive nowadays. How are you just not going to guarantee to get your license?
So, I'm relatively busy with stuff. Making sure of it that I didn't sit there, I don't know, I just had to make sure of it that I didn't sit there and, run into anything. And, of course, I was genuinely terrified.
Of course, he did get his license, but still, I was not like
frank here. Yeah, I just did not want to be on the road. I did not want to even go near anything. I wasn't even that hungry to even begin with. I don't know why I was hungry then, but I guess more along the lines when you sit there and you're in a literally life-death situation when a bunch of freaking monster vehicles going out there trying to kill someone, or more in this case you're more or less likely to sit there and not think so much about food, but honestly about your own fucking life. But of course,
which will use more brain cells, which will cause more energy, which will cause you to be hungry.
Say how many prayers of Thanksgiving I wound up saying that very night once I pulled into the driveway of the friggin' Taco Bell. Anyway, as I'm continuing on driving and things like that, I finally pull into the driveway.
Oh shit, it's gonna be October soon, which means it's gonna be a freaking white oak.
I would have just went to the drive-thru and just got this entire thing over with, because, like I said in my earlier video, I don't
that's not for like
too much gas. I mean, yeah, I have $1,000, but even then, I'm rather cheap when it comes to this kind of thing. Yeah, I know it's not a great tactic or a good way of going out, but even on that matter, though, it's still honestly true. It's agitating, but yeah, whatever. So anyway, I see that the drive-thru is literally packed, so I just pull into the parking lot. I park my car, turn it off, and I decide to go on in and order the food there. So I get in there, and it's relatively packed. Compared to the Burger King I went to last, this one was actually nearly packed to the freaking brim. I was honestly at a point in time where I just wanted to sit there and give up entirely and go somewhere else, and just sit there and get something else and claim that they were closed, although I know for a full-on fact that they know that's bullshit, because it was only like 8 o'clock in the morning, and Taco Bell does not usually close till around 10. At least that was a place in my town. So after all that craziness, I just decided to stick with it, suck it up, and if I got any shit back at home, I'd make sure to sit there and cover the both of them and their Crunchwrap Supremes. Anyway, so I got in there, I got in the line, and I just started waiting. And let me tell you, I didn't think that restaurants would ever get that loud. And when I mean loud, I mean it literally sounded like there was a freaking disco party going on in there. It might as well have been like a fucking rave or something, or like a freaking bar or whatever. I mean, literally everything was like, and people were literally dancing on the freaking counters and shit like that while they freaking ordered their meals, and the employees didn't give a shit. I don't know why. I mean, I didn't know that there was like some kind of disco dance party or something that went on every fucking night in a goddamn Taco Bell, but apparently that was the case, because everyone was either dancing on there. Hell, I even saw infants literally doing the Macarena, the Gangnam Style, and a bunch of other cringeworthy dance moves that I would much rather not mention, other than the fact of the matter that it'll probably kill your brain cells if you even remotely hear it. So anyway, I'm just looking around, and I'm looking at all this entire shit, and I'm literally seeing a bunch of little kids, doing a bunch of weirdo shit dancing moves or whatever it is, literally the brand new trending shit or whatever it may seem to be that's on YouTube or whatever, and I'm literally cringing so badly to the point that I was quite surprised that my entire face didn't pucker up to the point where it just ripped off my freaking head, or just sent me to another dimension, because that's pretty much what it should have done to me, Arnie. And if anything, that would have been better than what would have happened in the future. But anyway, though, I got relatively bored, so I pulled out my phone to play out some music, but apparently I'd realized something, that apparently my parents had wound up finding out that I was looking at a lot of porn or something like that, and they put a ton of filters on there, so much to the point that I can't even sit there and use any of the apps on my phone without accessing a parental control. I don't know how they managed to do it. even for my
They find a
MP3
way.
part,
Life
but they
finds a
freaking
way.
managed to do it. And let me be straight here when I say this, that honestly put me on edge, because I don't fare well without music. Music to me is like a relaxer, and being in that extremely stressful environment with all those crazy dancing hipster motherfuckers was not exactly a really interesting kind of way of going out. Let's be completely frank here. But anyway, so I'm agitated, but I'm not too angry, although I probably should be, but I'm not. So I put my phone away and I just wait. And I'm waiting for like maybe 5, 10, maybe 20 minutes or so. And I'm looking at my watch literally every few minutes or so, like wondering when in the hell is this line gonna die off? When in the hell is this line gonna
And then it never did.
And, you know, I just wanted to get the food and leave. I didn't even want to sit there and eat. But, I don't know. It was something that I just, you know, I don't know. I was already having a rather bad day, and I just didn't want this to get any worse. And then, after about 20 to 30 minutes or so of having to sit there and wait in that long-ass line, I finally get up to the counter. And this person, this cashier and everything, is a really weird individual. He himself, I don't know what exactly his name was.
I
but if
caught
had
him
to
putting
give him- if I had to
pineapples in his
give him one, I would name
pepperonis.
him Bob.
Wait.
Bob, honestly, was about as generic as it could honestly be, but he was extremely fucking nerdy. Like, he literally had the entire nerd garb. He had the freaking white button up, he had the freaking pencil protector, he had the freaking glasses, he had buck teeth with braces, he had
So he
pimples,
works
had
at Geek
dimples,
Squad
his
for
hair
Best
was all
Buy.
combed back and everything. He had hair all over him. He literally, his ears were giant. He looked like freaking Alfred E. Newman, like on fucking crack. And yeah, I just couldn't help but laugh at the guy. And apparently this offended him in more ways than one, because apparently
I'd be offended if you
I
laughed
don't know
at
what
me.
he wound up doing, but it was one of the stupidest things ever. He literally climbed up on the table and just started twerking. Yeah, that's what he did in front of me. He started twerking
Every day we fall farther
on
from God's
the fucking
grace.
counter in front of everyone, and then he got back down and apparently was calmed down. Me, at this point in time, I wanted
From
to sit there and grab
twerking?
the nearest bottle of bleach and dump it all over my fucking eyes, and then proceeded to try and down a bottle of fucking Drano to go with it.
At least he
Of
didn't do the
course,
Fortnite
none of those were in my
dance.
possession at this point in time, and I was not in the mood to look for any of it, so I pretty much just, you know, put that in the back of my mind and wait to do that when I got home, and decided to sit there and, you know, order the food that I wanted to order. I ordered a Crunchwrap Supreme, 6 of them, because, like I said, I'm a fat little fuck. Or at least I was back then. I was a fat little motherfucker. And I can certainly say for a full-on fact that I ate a lot. And I mean a lot. Like hell, I literally would eat almost half the fucking fridge every single day. Can't tell you how many new fridges we had to wind up buying. So much to the point that I had to literally cover the entire thing with like some kind of substance that prevented me from actually eating it. I had a really weird diet back then. And I still do, but at least it isn't as extreme as it was then. So of course I started ordering
Well, you ate
6
people,
Crunchwrap
so-
Supremes and a bunch of other crazy shit that my parents wanted, which I really didn't care. And if anything, I honestly wanted. I even wound up telling them to spit in their food too, because I was pissed off with them. To which the guy went, "Okay, sir, we're going to get your food now." I don't know. He had this really weird. voice
Carl
that
Weezer?
was like nails on a fucking chalkboard, combine that with actual nails, literally grinding into my.
And they start
fucking
going
eardrums.
blah, blah, blah.
It was
It's like,
horrible. It was a
fuck.
bad experience. But if anything, I was ultimately glad that my order was taken in, and I didn't have to deal with any remote issues with any of the staff or anything. So I wait. I sit down and I wait. And then after about another 20 minutes or so, my food finally gets ready. Only problem though, they didn't wrap it up in a to-go order. They actually had everything literally sat out on a giant tray. And I just literally buried my hands on my head, and I would have started crying right then and there, but I didn't. If anything, it just gave me much more of a reason to be out of the house, and I was completely content with that. Anyway, so I grab my food and everything, and I go and grab as many sauce packets as I can get, and I just go and I start eating my Crunchwrap Supremes. and I'm enjoying them relatively well, with the sole exception of the fact that people are still literally dancing, and I'm still really questioning the idea and the fact of why a bunch of toddlers are literally having the capability to sit there and do various dance moves like that. I mean, wouldn't all do logic and reasoning that shouldn't even be possible? I mean, babies and
science does not give a
support
fuck.
their weight, much less walk and talk and do a bunch of other shit. Oh yeah, did I forget to mention that the babies were actually talking? They were actually singing to the lyrics. The lyrics of the songs, whether it be YMCA or Gangnam Style or what in the butt. It literally was... I don't know what dimension I sat in there, but yeah, it was...
That's where's the McDonald's.
It's always something at freaking Taco Bell. Let's be... I mean, come
it's
on.
always something in the world.
The freaking Taco Bell logo is like in the shape of a fucking penis. So I mean, if you have a logo shaped like a penis, weird shit's bound to go down.
Go fuck yourself.
To being at Taco Bell, and I guess this was one of those normal occurrences that tend to come by in these kind of places. So I'm eating my food. I'm not having any problems. I'm not having any worries. Haven't got any extra calls or any news pics sent from a bunch of weirdo random people.
This sign can literally go fuck itself.
So I'm literally just sitting there relaxing, chilling, doing my thing, eating my food, putting sauce on every place. And then something happens. Just as I'm almost about to eat my last Crunchwrap Supreme, there's this guy who literally stands up and starts screaming. And
why?
And yet, I don't know what to really think of it.
Probably the
guy
mean
literally
scream.
starts screaming bloody murder and grabbing his stomach like he's literally about to die. He's yelling,
and then
he's
we find
screaming,
out
he's
Patrick
crying,
Star.
he's actually banging his head on the freaking... He's banging his head on the table. I'm a bit concerned and wondering what in the world is going on with this guy. Is he like dying or something? And I was gonna sit there and call 911 until he literally started running for the bathroom. And I thought, oh, it's one of those kind of deals. Now, I
It
don't
is
think I
Taco
need to sit
Bell.
there and, explain too much about what happens when it comes to going to a Taco Bell of some sort. But everyone should already know at this point that whenever you eat Taco Bell, whenever you finally get finished with it, you immediately get hit with the diarrhea, with the Taco Bell diarrhea runs. It's literally a fact of life. Taco Bell's meat and food and everything.
I don't even go to
makes it
Taco Bell. I know about
complete
this.
laxative.
Then again, I don't go
It's
to
like they sit
Chick-fil-A.
there
I
and
know
dump
it's
an
closed
entire
on
thing of
Sundays.
fucking Miralax into the meat and mix it up so well and everything, and then put it in their fucking tacos. That way, people literally shit themselves before they fucking leave the thing. But I guess apparently one of the employees that apparently put too much Miralax or something in that specific batch of meat that the guy had eaten, because he was literally screaming and crying and banging on the doors. But apparently, both restrooms were completely out of order. Now, what did this guy do? Did he do the logical thing and, run out and go to a nearest store and use the bathroom there? Did he, alert somebody about that and, try and go use another restroom? Or did he sit there and, go to his car and drive himself home as quickly as possible? Or better yet, did he just go into the bushes or whatever outside of the Taco Bell and shit on them? The answer to that question is he did neither of those things. But instead he did something that kind of more or less brings me back to the reason why I have to go to therapy every single fucking day and take a ton of pills. He immediately walked to the middle of the place, pulled his pants down in his underwear, and then positioned his butt cheeks literally in the middle of the place. And
Lovely.
I'm expecting the worst for some reason. And the little voice in my head was pretty much telling me to get the fuck out of there as quickly as I fucking could.
Run!
Because I knew for a full-on fact that there was going to be trouble, but for some reason, I just couldn't move. I didn't know why, but
Deer
I just
in
couldn't.
headlights.
And this guy, oh my god, this guy, he lets out a really big fart. It smells horrible. It smells like rotten eggs mixed with sulfur. It smells like hell itself, if hell even had a smell. It had that scent to it, and it was really disgusting, and it made me puke and a few other people puke, including some of the babies. And then, after that, a spectacle wound up happening. I didn't think this was particularly possible with the human body, but apparently I'm wrong on this one. Because this guy projectile shat all over the place. Like, it was like a fountain. It was like his ass was a fucking fountain And the shit was the water that was literally spraying out of his asshole. It was going all over the place. It was like a fountain and shit like that.
I thought we as a species agreed that Adam Sandler wasn't funny anymore, so why are we still doing it?
Shit that was going all over the place. Everyone stopped. They just stopped. They stopped dancing. They stopped Gangnam Style. They stopped moonwalking. They stopped.
This is just where I'd get up and turn the video
they all
off.
just focused their eyes, including myself.
Actually, to be honest, I turned the video off a long while ago when I found out about the sex. Just be like, nope, done.
His shit fountain soon turned into like a shit sprinkler. Because he literally, I don't know how it's possible. I don't know how it went out. I don't know how any of this is even logically possible. But for some odd reason,
I don't care.
Shit started going around like a sprinkler. And if you've ever seen a sprinkler, it's various kinds of sprinklers. Think of it as like one of the
describe it.
You know, you plug up the hose and everything, and you know they had those little tentacles or something that like move around and spray water all over the place. That was exactly what happened with this guy. This guy like literally was sprinkling shit all over the place, coating everything and almost everyone, with the sole exception of myself, in a splatter of brown all over the place. And then, to make matters worse, when he finally stopped, he got up, he positioned himself in a sitting position, and then shat in the middle of the floor.
Lovely.
Now, I'm actually quite surprised that I didn't sit there and die from the smell, because it was quite disgusting. The smell was awful, and if anything, I think I was on the verge of dying. However, I would have immediately left there and literally left the food there, because let's be honest here, it was completely covered in shit. I mean, granted, Taco Bell is probably shit as it is, but having to actually see shit on a shit thing of food is kind of, well...
It's shit.
I don't know. It's ridiculous. It's extremely ridiculous. I would have left. And I probably should have left. I should have just hauled out there, got in my car.
Then when I saw him pull his pants, I would have been like,
went back
bye.
Home and literally just threw whatever it was into the garbage and took a bath. At least then, I wouldn't have to worry too much about anything else. But me being the idiot that I was, that didn't happen. In fact, the exact opposite happened. I just sat there and I kept watching. And then the people had these giant smiles on their faces. Everyone did. The employees, the people there, everyone. Every fucking person in that Taco Bell had a giant smile on their face. They started drooling, and the next thing I know, they're all literally they're literally jumping into piles of shit, human fecal matter, and rolling around in it like a pig. I wish I had a camera, because I would have recorded the whole thing. They were literally
you never have a
rolling
camera
around
with shit.
Another person's human excrement, and laughing and doing other horrible things that makes Two Girls One Cup look like frickin' Sesame Street.
I'm gonna get fucking blocked for this thing. Just watch. I'm gonna get blocked, but the original video is gonna be fine.
Acting like freaking farming equipment too, and dragging people in the excrement itself. And
Lost Name, why do you hate me?
And I just
want to know, why do you hate me?
I kind of lost it.
I don't want to know how or who or what or when,
and I had
but
no
why?
Eating. I literally threw it all over the place, and I think I hit someone. And like last time, everyone just stopped. Nobody moved. Nobody said a single word.
I swear if the Arby's manages to be worse than this, this is just no.
Hell started breaking
I don't
loose.
care if One gives me permission.
One of the Taco Bell employees let out this crazy war cry of some sort. I don't even know what it was. Certainly wasn't English. And then next thing you know, everyone is pulling down their fucking pants, including the guy that had just recently shit all over the place. And then they all position their butts at me. And they literally start shitting. I'm not joking. They were shitting at me. Now, it wasn't all the same. There were people that were literally shitting out streams of fountain at me. And I had to act quick. I did not want to get covered. I literally grabbed the table that was there, and I flipped it and hid behind it to keep myself from getting sprayed. And then, like the scene out of freaking Saving Private fucking Ryan, I'm literally trying to run and get to the double doors, because apparently the other doors were locked or something. I guess one of the employees probably locked it when I wasn't looking. I mean, I don't know how that was possible, because I probably would have noticed him, but still. I'm running, and I'm literally trying to dodge the people literally shooting shit at me like a fucking gun. There was even one person, I'm not joking, who positioned himself into an actual gun, and, like, ass first, someone grabbed him, and literally, I'm not joking, they actually started shooting fucking turds at me.
Lovely.
Like a freaking AK-47, a freaking machine gun.
If I could just stop the video halfway through and then just like being like, I'm done, I would have.
That was entirely the thing. They even had the sound to it too.
I won't do that, but I would have.
And let me tell you something. Those turds, those freaking turds, they weren't soft.
You're a turd.
They actually did damage. They actually put holes in the freaking 4-inch thick columns that I was literally trying to hide behind. And of course, what
have these people been eating?
At this point, I'm shitting myself, literally. I was not in the mood to sit there and deal with any of that.
To be honest, though, this has been one of the more realistic ones until the end.
Because not only were people sitting there and literally firing their shit like it was a gun, quite literally, I might say, but the Taco Bell employees apparently wanted to play in on this too, but instead of using shit, you know what they used? They used these giant hoses that shot nacho cheese sauce at me. And it burned
why not?
A lot. I think I had third-degree burns all over my arms for the next 2-3 weeks, maybe. And it got all over me. And I just remember getting sick and tired of it. I literally ran. I didn't care if I got hit. I ran.
Oh, look,
I ran
he has a brain.
I was getting covered in a copious amount of shit and cheese sauce from so many people.
I'll get paid enough for this shit.
When I managed to get to the door, they were locked, which was honestly one of the worst things ever. So, you know what I did? I pulled out my pocket knife that I had, that I always carry on me, and I jammed it at the door as quickly as I could on the glass, and it shattered on impact, and I climbed my way through. And I had to keep on dodging crap bullets and cheese sauce cannons, and I just ran. I ran to my car. I didn't care if I smelled like shit and cheese. I literally just drove. I drove as fast as I possibly could. But as I drove, the entire Taco Bell exploded. Like, literally exploded in on and of its own self in a mass amount of a unity between shit and nacho cheese sauce from Taco Bell. And the only thing that was left there, from what I remember hearing, was nothing else more but a giant cheesy turd. That was it. I drove all the way back home.
Lovely.
And of course, I wound up getting a lot of shit from family, telling me why I didn't get the Taco Bell. And I probably should have easily just taken them and, grab some freaking chloroform and,
But what I told them was, I don't have time to put up with your crap.
I didn't feel like it. So, yeah. Oh, and as for getting banned,
I feel like putting up with their crap.
I wound up getting a letter from the Taco Bell Corporation about a couple of days after the incident, apparently blaming me for the entirety of the incident. Apparently claiming that since I was there and I did not participate in the fecal matter party or something that was going on, I was indirectly, or more or less directly responsible for the incident that wound up blowing up one of their major corporations, thus losing them approximately about $5 or $10 million in stock and things like that.
What?
And because of that, I was forever banned.
Because it didn't help you blow up your building?
Here in the county, or even in the country ever again. So yeah, it was a pretty shitty day, no pun intended.
Evidently.
But hey, I got myself cleaned up, and, well, I certainly didn't recover from it. Now, if you excuse me, I need to end this video now because I have to sit there and go to my next therapy session. This is gonna take a long time.
Goodbye, done.
When I go to sleep. So, yeah. Thank you guys again for watching this. Thank you guys for listening to my